Hidden deep in New England's forests lie America's most puzzling ancient sites. From the mysterious stone alignments of America's Stonehenge in North Salem to the underground enigma of the Upton Stone Chamber and the haunting ruins of the Dogtown settlement on Cape Ann, these places defy simple explanations. Are they colonial relics, forgotten ritual sites, or evidence of a lost civilization? Step into a world where history, myth, and mystery collide, and uncover secrets that continue to baffle researchers today. Massachusetts, the ancient mystery in the New England forest, hidden in the quiet woods of North Salem, New Hampshire, just minutes from the Massachusetts border, lies one of the most debated and enigmatic archaeological sites in North America. For nearly 2 centuries, historians, archaeologists, and explorers have walked among its stones, trying to unravel a question that refuses to be answered. Who built this place, and why? This is America's Stonehenge, a sprawling complex of stone chambers, standing stones, walls, and underground passages. Some believe it was built by colonial farmers. Others insist it is thousands of years old. And still others think it may connect to ancient cultures across the ocean. To understand the mystery, we must begin with the land itself. The hilltop on which America's Stonehenge sits was once covered in forest and farmland. In the early 1800s, local farmers began discovering unusual stone structures hidden beneath the soil. They uncovered long rows of walls, roof chambers, and strange slabs carved with grooves. At first, they assumed these were the remains of root cellars or early farm buildings. But as more structures appeared, doubt grew. These weren't simple storage spaces. They were too complex, too heavy, and too carefully aligned to be the casual handiwork of farmers. As generations passed, the site gained a reputation. Curious visitors traveled to the wooded hilltop to see the mysterious stones for themselves. Some believed the site was the work of the indigenous peoples of New England. Others believed it predated them, and others still believed it had been built by ancient settlers from distant lands. One of the first clues to the site's purpose lies in its arrangement. America's Stonehenge is not a random scattering of rocks. It is a planned complex. Stone walls form long corridors. Chambers appear in clusters. Underground passages connect sections of the site. And scattered across the hilltop are standing stones placed with remarkable precision. These stones mark the rising and setting points of the sun on the solstices and equinoxes. They also mark cross-quarter days, the midpoints between seasons. Even more impressive, several stones align with lunar events, including the major lunar standstill, a rare celestial cycle that occurs only once every 18.6 years. The level of astronomical knowledge required to build such alignments is significant. Whoever designed this landscape understood the motions of the sun and moon with careful precision. For some researchers, this is the strongest evidence that the site may be prehistoric. Colonial farmers did not build large-scale stone astronomical observatories. They were focused on survival, not charting celestial cycles across decades. Yet mainstream archaeology generally attributes the site to colonial settlers. They argue that the stone chambers were likely root cellars, the walls were property boundaries, and the large stone slab, known as the dead, sacrificial table, was probably used for making soap or processing food. It's a simple explanation, one grounded in the everyday life of New England farmers. But the problem with this explanation is the silence of the historical record. Colonial settlers documented almost everything. They recorded births, deaths, land use, construction, property disputes, and local events. Yet not a single colonial diary or record mentions building the massive stone chambers or carving astronomical alignments. Not a single map marks these structures, and not a single inventory describes their construction. If farmers built America's Stonehenge, then they created one of the most elaborate stone complexes in colonial America without ever writing a word about it. This absence has fueled alternative theories. One theory suggests the site was built by indigenous peoples for ceremonial, astronomical, or ritual purposes. Indigenous cultures across the Northeast did construct stone features, cairns, and markers. They tracked solar and lunar cycles, held seasonal ceremonies, and shaped the land for spiritual use. But the scale of America's Stonehenge remains larger than most known examples of indigenous stone architecture in the region. Another theory proposes that the site was built thousands of years ago by an unknown prehistoric culture. Supporters of this theory point to similarities between America's Stonehenge and megalithic structures found in Europe. The cobbled stone chambers resemble those of ancient observatories, and the underground passages echo features seen at Bronze Age sites. If true, this would challenge conventional history, suggesting a far older human presence in North America than previously acknowledged. A more controversial theory claims ancient European or Mediterranean seafarers may have reached New England long before Columbus or the Vikings. Some point to possible inscriptions, markings, or architectural similarities that mirror ancient Phoenician, Iberian, or Celtic sites. Yet the story of the city is also recognizable. At the heart of the size tablets, the most intentional. It weighs several tons and rests on stone legs, forming a raised platform. Grooves carved into the surface appear to channel liquids. Some interpret this as evidence of ritual use. Others believe it is a tool, perhaps used for processing food or raw materials. Without written records, the stone remains mute, offering no clues to its true purpose. Near the table is one of the most fascinating features, the oracle chamber. This underground room is built from enormous slabs and connected to a small opening above it. If someone speaks into the opening, their voice resonates into the chamber below with a deep, amplified tone. This has led some to believe the fosse chamber was used for rituals or ceremonies, with a hidden speaker creating the illusion of a spirit or divine voice. Others argue the feature is accidental, simply a drainage slot or opening unrelated to ritual activity. This tension between practical explanations and ceremonial interpretations defines the entire site. Every stone here can be viewed in two ways. A wall may be a boundary, or it may be a procession path. A chamber may be a root cellar, or it may be a sacred space. A carved groove may be a drainage channel, or it may be symbolic. The site offers just enough evidence to intrigue, but never enough to confirm. Excavations have revealed multiple layers of history. Colonial artifacts, such as tools and pottery fragments, have been found near the surface. Indigenous artifacts lie deeper, and beneath them, the original stone structures stand as silent reminders of an even older past. This layered history suggests that America's Stonehenge may not belong to a single era or culture. Instead, it may have been used, modified, and repurposed across centuries or even millennia. If this is true, then the site is a palimpsest, a place where many different peoples left their mark, each adding a new chapter to its story. Colonial farmers may have used the chambers as storage spaces. Indigenous peoples may have held ceremonies here, and before them, an even earlier group may have built the stone foundations. One of the most enduring aspects of America's Stonehenge is its atmosphere. Visitors often describe a feeling of stepping back in time. The forest grows quiet, the stones feel ancient, and the alignments seem purposeful. Whether ancient astronomers once stood here, watching the sun rise through carefully placed stones, or whether colonists simply repurposed older features for their farm life, the site carries an undeniable energy. It feels meaningful, even if that meaning remains elusive. The mystery persists because every theory has strengths and weaknesses. The colonial explanation struggles with the absence of documentation and the astronomical alignments. The indigenous explanation struggles with the scale and style of the stone construction. The prehistoric and transoceanic theories struggle with the lack of direct physical evidence. America's Stonehenge sits at the crossroads of these debates, refusing to settle neatly into any one box. Perhaps the true answer lies in a combination of theories. Perhaps the site began as a small ceremonial area, built by early indigenous peoples. Perhaps it was expanded by later cultures. Perhaps colonial settlers repurposed it without fully understanding its original purpose. And perhaps, over generations, the layers of history combined into the complex we see today. No matter its origin, America's Stonehenge remains one of the most captivating archaeological mysteries in the United States. It challenges assumptions, invites speculation, and sparks curiosity. It forces us to question the simplicity of accepted narratives about America's past, and it reminds us that the land we walk on holds stories far older than our written histories. Who built the chambers? Who placed the stones? Who tracked the sun and moon from this hilltop? And what ceremonies or everyday tasks were once performed in these silent chambers? The stones won't answer. They simply wait, as they have for centuries, for someone to understand their message. America's Stonehenge remains, above all else, the lost settlement of Dogtown, Cape Ann, Dogtown. Even the name sounds mysterious. Hidden deep in the heart of Cape Ann, Massachusetts, Dogtown is one of New England's most legendary abandoned settlements, a place filled with ruins, strange history, forgotten stories, and tales of witches, giants, and ghosts. Today, we're diving into the real history and mysteries of the Dogtown settlement, exploring how a once thriving colonial village became one of the region's most haunted and fascinating landscapes. Dogtown sits between the towns of Gloucester and Rockport, on a rocky, boulder-strewn plateau, far from the modern coastline. And men who, if you walk through the area today, you'll find miles of tangled forest, crumbling cellar holes, carved boulders, and long-forgotten paths. But hundreds of years ago, this was the center of life for some of the earliest settlers on Cape Ann. Dogtown was first established in the early 1600s, shortly after Europeans began settling coastal Massachusetts. At that time, the shoreline was dangerous and exposed. Pirates, storms, and attacks were real threats. The inland area that would later be known as Dogtown offered shelter and safety. It was elevated, protected by boulders, and close to fresh water sources. Early families built homes, cleared fields, and started a community that would last for nearly 2 centuries. For a long time, Dogtown wasn't called Dogtown at all. It was simply the Commons settlement. Families farmed small plots of land, raised livestock, and lived in modest wooden houses. Life was hard, but for the early settlers, it was a safe place to build a life. But Dogtown's location, which once made it a safe place to live, eventually became its downfall. As time went on, the dangers of coastal life decreased, trade increased, and the shore became a better place for homes and businesses. New roads and shipping routes made the coast more valuable, and many families abandoned their inland farms and moved closer to the water. By the late 1700s, Dogtown began to decline. As the generations who built the settlement passed away or moved out, Dogtown became home to a very different group of people. The old families were replaced by widows, drifters, former slaves, and people living on the fringes of society. Many homes were collapsing, fields were overgrown, and the area became increasingly isolated. This is when the name Dogtown began to take hold. It was said that many women living there kept dogs for protection while their husbands were away at sea, and when those men never returned, the dogs remained. Over time, the number of stray dogs wandering the settlement grew, and the area gained its memorable name. Oh, whatever right! Whatever right! By the early 1800s, Dogtown had transformed from a once thriving village into a place filled with abandoned houses, roaming dogs, and people who were struggling to survive. And as often happens in isolated places, legends began to flourish. One of the most famous residents of Dogtown was a woman named Thompson, often referred to as the Witch of Dogtown. She lived alone, kept large dogs, and was rumored to have supernatural powers. Villagers claimed she could curse a farmer's livestock or cause storms when angered. Whether these stories were true or simply the result of fear, Thompson became one of Dogtown's most infamous figures. To this day, hikers say that the area where her house once stood feels colder and eerier than the surrounding woods. Another legendary figure was James Reinhardt, sometimes called Dogtown's giant. Reinhardt was a former enslaved man who later became the story of energy and mystery. Some said he could lift boulders, others claimed he roamed the woods at night. Although the stories are exaggerated, Reinhardt remains one of Dogtown's most memorable characters. By 1830, Dogtown was essentially abandoned. Houses that had stood for generations fell apart or were dismantled. Locals salvaged wood, stone, and anything valuable. Livestock disappeared. Roads became unused. Eventually, only cellar holes remained, deep pits in the ground marking where homes once stood. The dogs that gave Dogtown its name disappeared as well, leaving behind a quiet, ghostly landscape. For a long time, Dogtown was nearly forgotten, but in the early 1900s, the area returned to public attention thanks to a businessman and philanthropist named Roger Babson, the founder of Babson College. Babson was fascinated by Dogtown's history. His ancestors had lived there, and he believed the area had spiritual and inspirational value. To restore the land and provide work during the Great Depression, Babson hired unemployed men to carve motivational sayings onto the giant boulders scattered across the landscape. If you walk through Dogtown today, you can still find these famous Babson boulders. Each one has a message chiseled into stone. Some read, "Courage." Others say, "Help mother," "Kindness," "Be on time," "Get a job," and "Use your head." There are more than 30 of these carved rocks. They're unusual, fascinating, and sometimes a little strange, turning the woods into an outdoor gallery of stone wisdom. The Babson boulders revived public interest in Dogtown, but they also added a new layer of mystery. Some hikers find them inspiring, others find them unsettling, almost as if the words echo through the forest long after you've passed them. Today, Dogtown is one part historical site, one part mythic landscape, and one part nature preserve. It's a popular hiking area, filled with old roads, abandoned cellar foundations, and massive glacial boulders left behind from the Ice Age. The land is quiet, dense with trees, and crisscrossed with trails. If you visit, you'll likely pass by spots marked with small plaques identifying former homes. Each number corresponds to an original settler's house, giving you a sense of how large the mystic community once was. In its peak, Dogtown had around 80 families. Now, nothing remains except stone outlines and moss-covered foundations. But beyond the physical ruins, Dogtown's atmosphere is what captivates people most. The forest is still and unusually silent. The ground is uneven and rocky. Sightlines are short, making it easy to feel like you're being watched by the woods themselves. Many visitors report feeling a strange energy, not necessarily frightening, but heavy, as if the land remembers its history. Over the years, stories about Dogtown have only grown. Some say the woods are haunted by the spirits of former residents. Others claim to hear dogs barking in the distance, even though no dogs live there. There are rumors of mysterious figures seen at dusk, strange lights, and unexplained sounds. Whether these stories are rooted in reality or simply the power of suggestion remains up for debate, but they add to Dogtown's reputation as one of the most haunted places in Massachusetts. What makes Dogtown truly fascinating is how its history and legends blend together. The hard lives of the people who lived there, the isolation of the land, the decline of the settlement, and the eerie silence left behind all contribute to a place that feels suspended between past and present. It's a reminder of how communities rise and fall, how forgotten stories linger in the landscape, and how myths grow when nature reclaims what people have left behind. Upton Stone Chamber, hidden in the woods of Upton, Massachusetts, stands one of New England's most mysterious ancient structures. It's called the Upton Stone Chamber, and for decades, people have debated who built it, when it was built, and what purpose it served. Some say it's a simple colonial root cellar. Others insist it's a ceremonial structure created by indigenous people. And some believe it may be far older, possibly connected to ancient European cultures. Today, we're going straight into the mystery of the Upton Stone Chamber to explore what we know, what we don't know, and why this place continues to fascinate visitors from around the world. The Upton Stone Chamber is often described as the largest and most elaborate underground stone chamber in New England. From the outside, it looks like a narrow stone entrance disappearing into a hillside. But once you step inside, you find a large, circular, dome-shaped chamber built entirely of stone. The dome is formed by a technique called corbelling, where stones are laid inward, layer by layer, until they meet at the top. No mortar holds the stones together, yet they have remained stable for centuries. The inside feels ancient. Cool air settles around you, and the sound of your voice echoes softly against the stones. One of the reasons this chamber is so mysterious is that no one knows for certain when it was built. There are no written records from colonial settlers describing its construction. There are no confirmed indigenous oral histories that identify it as a ceremonial structure, and there is no archaeological evidence that clearly dates the chamber to a specific time period. So researchers have to rely on clues from the stonework, the layout, and comparisons to similar structures in other parts of the world. The first major theory is the most straightforward. The Upton Stone Chamber was built by early colonial settlers as a root cellar or storage space. Colonists often built stone shelters to keep food cool and protected. The inside of the chamber does maintain a steady temperature, which would have made it useful for storing vegetables, dairy products, or tools. Supporters of this idea note that the land around the chamber was farmed during the colonial era, and the chamber might simply have been part of a homestead. But there are problems with this explanation. Colonial root cellars were usually simple, small, and built quickly. They rarely involved large, carefully placed granite slabs or corbelled stone domes, because that level of effort wasn't practical for everyday farming. Colonial builders usually used wood and smaller two-live soles, not massive granite. But some distinct features are in the table. and a structure as complex as the Upton Chamber would have taken considerable time and labor, far more than most colonial farmers would have invested in a storage structure. So although the colonial theory is common, it leaves a lot of questions unanswered. The second major theory suggests the chamber was built by indigenous people, possibly the Nipmuc nation, whose ancestral lands include Upton. Across New England, there are many stone structures believed to have been built by indigenous people for ceremonial or astronomical purposes. Some of these structures align with the solstices, equinoxes, or other natural events. The shape and construction of the Upton Chamber resembles some indigenous ceremonial spaces found elsewhere, especially the use of stone and the emphasis on creating a controlled, sacred interior. Supporters of this theory point to the possibility that the chamber is aligned with the summer solstice sunset. On the longest day of the year, sunlight may travel down the entrance passage and illuminate part of the chamber. If this alignment is intentional, it would suggest the chamber was designed with astronomical or ceremonial significance in mind. Indigenous cultures often use the solstice to mark seasonal transitions or spiritual events. This makes the indigenous theory compelling for many researchers, though it has not been confirmed. The third theory is the most controversial and the most dramatic. Some researchers believe the Upton Chamber resembles prehistoric European structures, particularly those found in Ireland and Scotland. These European chambers, built thousands of years ago, have long stone passages leading into corbelled dome chambers, almost identical in layout to the structure in Upton. Supporters argue that the similarity is too strong to ignore. They believe the chamber may have been built by ancient Celtic explorers or monks who reached North America long before Columbus. According to this idea, these early travelers could have built ceremonial structures similar to those in Europe. However, this theory faces sharp criticism. There is no widely accepted archaeological evidence that Celtic or other European cultures traveled to New England in prehistoric times. While the chambers designed does resemble European passage graves, similar construction techniques can appear in different cultures independently. So although it's an intriguing theory, it's not supported by mainstream archaeology. Still, the resemblance is striking enough that people continue to debate it. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Upton Stone Chamber is its possible solstice alignment. Some visitors report that on the summer solstice, the sunset shines directly into the chamber through the entrance passage. The light moves slowly down the tunnel and spreads across the stone walls, creating a dramatic effect. If the alignment was intentional, it suggests the builders understood astronomy and designed the chamber with a specific purpose. Solstice alignments are found in ancient structures around the world, from Stonehenge to Newgrange. Could Upton be another example? Or is it just a coincidence? We still don't have a definitive answer. Despite all these theories and observations, the truth remains elusive. No artifacts have been found inside the chamber that clearly indicate who used it. No tools, pottery, bones, or carvings have been discovered. Without artifacts, archaeologists cannot definitively date the chamber. Stone itself can only be dated based on the context in which it's found, and with no clear context here, the chamber remains an architectural puzzle. Although the origins of the Upton Stone Chamber are uncertain, its preservation is a success story. In 2004, the town of Upton purchased the land around the chamber to protect it from development. The site is now part of Upton Heritage Park, where visitors can explore hiking trails, enjoy the surrounding nature, and of course, visit the chamber itself. Local historians, preservation groups, and volunteers have worked hard to keep the chamber accessible while also protecting it from damage. Walking inside the chamber is an unforgettable experience. As you move through the narrow passage, the outside world disappears. The temperature drops and the air becomes still. When you enter the main chamber, the sound changes and even a whisper seems to echo. The carefully placed stones feel timeless. Many visitors describe a sense of calm, others report feeling unsettled, and some simply feel amazed that such a structure exists in a small Massachusetts town. So what is the Upton Stone Chamber? A colonial storage room built by hard-working settlers, a sacred site constructed by indigenous people for spiritual or astronomical purposes, a remnant of ancient explorers who crossed the Atlantic long before recorded history, or we cannot find what it takes to show a deeper and see what we know is going on, or what is going on. The truth is, we don't know, and maybe that's what makes the Upton Stone Chamber so fascinating. It stands as a reminder that history is full of mysteries waiting to be explored. Not everything from the past leaves behind clear answers. Some structures carry more questions than clues, and the Upton Chamber is one of them. But even without a definitive explanation, the chamber continues to inspire curiosity. It invites us to ask questions, to imagine possibilities, and to appreciate the skill and effort behind its construction. Whether it's hundreds of years old or thousands, whether it was built for everyday use or sacred ceremonies, it holds a powerful presence that draws people in. If you ever get the chance to visit Upton, Massachusetts, take a moment to step inside the chamber yourself. Feel the cool air, listen to the silence, and look up at the stones above you. Whoever built this structure put care and intention into every part of it. Standing there, you can't help but wonder what message they were trying to leave behind, or what stories the chamber could tell if it could speak. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the mystery of the Upton Stone Chamber. If you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more history and mystery content, and let me know in the comments what you think the chamber was used for. Was it a root cellar, a ceremonial space, or something far older than we imagine? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next adventure.